There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Going well. It's freaking cold.
I can tell with your sweater.
Oh my God. Yes. We've got the heat on, but yes, it's winter is coming without a doubt here.
Game of Thrones reference. Have you
Yeah.
recovered from Greece?
A little bit, getting there. I just fudged up opening up the IG live there. It's like, I'm out of practice. So, gotta get back into swing of things. So
I'm trying to get my phone here. Okay.
yeah.
Jeez. I know. It's been a while since we've done this. It's good to
Yes,
see
it
your
has.
face.
Yeah. So today we want to talk about kind of webinars, and yes, we know everybody's like webinared out after the last year and a half. But both Noelle and I still kind of believe that webinars are an important part of wine education. And that's one of the reasons why we are going to be doing webinars on our own, which we'll talk about later. But kind of we just want to talk about in the beginning, and I'll let you start here with Noelle, is, how did you use webinars or not use webinars in your studies?
I think it's you and I use them differently, so which is kind of nice because people can hear two different ways of doing things. I know you're in charge of virtual wine events, so you were much more involved with watching them than I was. I found when I was really struggling with a concept, or quite frankly, if I wasn't interested in a region, like it was at the bottom of my list and I'm like, oh, I just don't want to study New Zealand or whatever, not to pick on New Zealand, but I would find a webinar to watch because I found I was more engaged with that. Podcasts were kind of my passive, I'd go for a walk and listen. But with webinars, they've got great charts and they've got great maps. And I would sit and actually just watch it, usually with a glass of wine, sometimes outside because I'm in California. But that's how I used them, is I would, if it was a particularly difficult concept or something, the textbook was just boring the crap out of me, I would find a webinar that would be more entertaining. And we have a lot of recommendations that you will go over of people who are really dynamic. And I think that really helps the webinar stuff sink in. So that's how I used them. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, definitely everybody learns differently. Some people are textbook learners, flashcard learners, podcasts, as you mentioned, webinars. For me, I like to do a combination. I want to get information coming from different angles. That's how it soaks in for me. And with webinars, like I did podcasts as well, like when I'm working out, doing the dishes, cleaning the house, usually I have a folding laundry, I have a webinar playing. So that's really helpful, or excuse me, a podcast playing. Webinars, I kind of did while I was doing work at desktop, doing emails and doing other research. I would have a webinar playing in the background. And when something interesting happened, I would pause. So these are obviously recording the webinars versus live. Yeah. And then I go back and I watch that angle that intrigued me, look at the chart that they had included, maps. I always love when webinars utilize maps in like Google Earth, because those are things that you don't get easily from the text. Yes, you can look at the maps, but having somebody explain and kind of point things out, or again, take you on a journey through Google Earth, that really makes the content jump out at you and come alive.
Agreed.
So I
like your point of getting it from different angles, because if you just look at the textbook, my God, but getting it visually, getting it audio, it's a huge help for just, like you said, letting things sink in.
Yeah, most definitely. What were some of the favorite webinar sources that you had with that? I've got my list, but kind of ones that you utilized.
I love Wine with Jimmy. I just think that he's so dynamic and he's just fun and engaging and practical. Like honestly, his webinars are quite practical. In preparation for some of my upcoming webinars, I've actually checked out some of the Guild Psalm. Chris, is it Tangi?
Yeah.
Tangi.
Yep.
He has some great information on those. And I know there's been other hosts of the Guild Psalm. They tend to get really in depth, at least the ones I've watched, which can be great for a, depends on what you're aiming for. But yeah, those were kind of my two. I'm also a Wine Scholar Guild member. Can you get their web? You have to be a member, right? To get.
You have to be a member. It's
Okay.
I want to say it's about $100 a year. I really feel membership for Wine Scholar Guild is really, really worth it. They've got tons of great content on their site, and they were doing webinars before webinars were cool. I mean, like back in like
That's true.
2010. I mean, I think they were starting doing monthly webinars, and now they do a couple a month. And Master of Wines, Master Somms. I mean, experts in the field and such a wide range of topics. I mean, again, Wine Scholar Guild, we're both huge fans of them.
Huge fan. So yeah, those were kind of my top three. And I know you, Pall Mall, I never really tried them.
Well, I think you did. I think you definitely hit the top three. I mean, give another shout out, Wine with Jimmy Smith. I'm actually going to do a webinar. I'll do a live one with him. I paid for a live one with him tomorrow through his West London Wine School. He's got Greg Harrington from Gramercy Cellars doing a virtual tasting.
Cool.
So it's a bit of home for me here in London. So I totally signed up for that, and we've got the wines there. And so I'm looking forward to attending that webinar tomorrow. So it'll be a great one. But yeah, there's so many great resources. I mean, one of the silver linings of the pandemic, was just this breadth of content, of online content that was created. And there's recordings of so many of these webinars available. My site, virtualwineevents.com, I essentially tailored this not only to be a calendar of upcoming events, but also to be a search engine for you so you can find all the recordings. I mean, we've got over 4,000 links to webinar recordings. So any topic, wine topic, you just go into there, virtualwineevents.com, type in what you're looking for, New Zealand, rosés, you go into viticulture, trellising, pruning, and click video search, and you'll get links to tons and tons of webinars.
That sounds awesome. That sounds really helpful.
But 67 Pall Mall, really, really good. They did some webinars, but most of the things that they did was virtual tastings with bringing in producers. And even if you don't have the wines, watching those virtual tasting recordings are really helpful. They usually start out with a little bit of a webinar presentation in the beginning, talking about the area that the wines come from, winemaking, viticulture. But it's really good to give you that background context of key producers. Because if you go back into the diploma text, every section usually notes key producers. And so that's a little bit of a subtle hint that often the examiners, if you name drop some of these producers in your answers, that could be beneficial. Yeah. And so a good way to remember and learn about producers that are worth name dropping is watching some of these virtual tastings. And so again, 67 Pall Mall was great. A couple other ones I have on my little rotation, SomGo. It's a new platform that emerged last year during the pandemic, affiliated with, I believe, with the Somm Journal. And so they have a lot of good webinars there. So you do have to pay for that one. That's a subscription model, just like Wine Scholar Guild. Cork Buzz, is New York wine bar, master sommelier, drawn a blank, Laura
Manick?
Yes, Manick.
Yeah.
Lots of really great webinars they did throughout the pandemic, and they're still doing it. And they sold their webinars in a package deal where you bought like recordings of like 16, 17 webinars that they did for the month of July, stuff like that. I bought several of those, and those were some really, really good ones. A couple free ones that you can find on YouTube, which I will tell you, if you happen to have like a smart TV at home with the YouTube app, sitting on your couch, a glass of wine, as you mentioned, and just putting on some of these webinars there just to relax, not taking notes, it's more that passive, relaxing study. That is a really good way of maximizing some of your time in the evening. And so a few of the folks on YouTube I would recommend. Wine with Jimmy, we noted, he has his channel. He does have some more webinars that you have to join his e-learning platform, which he's got different rates for that, depending on if you're doing like diploma or the level 3. Those are worthwhile because he has a lot more webinars that are on his platform. But a couple free ones that are worth looking for on YouTube. James Watkins. He was studying for several of the advanced sommelier certifications, maybe even Master Somm. And so he put up a lot of his webinars online. Okay. The Wine and Spirit Education Trust in London, they did tons of webinars. They're still doing webinars, and they post a lot of those online. So those are things that are being pulled right from the text. So going almost pretty much to the source. Okay. And so, again, tons of great webinars there. The Unknown Winecaster.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Yeah, I think he stopped producing content, but he made a lot of really good stuff and like short, around that 10-minute mark for videos about different regions. So they're kind of like webinars. They're not, And basically they're PowerPoints that he put online and then YouTube. So it's not the interactive element, but again, good content there. And then there's also tons of stuff from regional boards, Wine Australia, California Wine Institute. They had a really great season of insiders, wine of South Africa. So tons of stuff. And again, just to name drop my site again, virtualwineevents.com. You can search and find links for all these just to make it easy. One stop.
That sounds very helpful.
Yeah.
Very helpful. Yeah. Very cool.
And we will also be putting there our upcoming webinars, which we're going to record. So Noelle, do you want to talk a little bit?
Different though. I mean,
yes.
There's so many webinars out there. How are we going to stand out? So Amber and I have several coming up next month, and we will continue on. I am hosting the sherry and the Italian sparkling wine, and we're going to be focusing on, like, what are past exam questions? How often have these wines shown up? For me, I might touch on the Solera system and the different methods of production for sparkling wine, but that's stuff that you can get in your textbook. That's stuff that you can get almost anywhere. If you are struggling learning it, please schedule a private coaching with us. But for my webinars, I'm going to be focusing mostly on the business aspect of stuff. I don't know if you remember, Amber, and maybe you were part of the diploma. When I did the diploma earlier, we had that case study bit. We didn't have Unit D2, which focused on marketing. And so my case study that I was assigned was the ups and downs of the sherry market. And I took that case study before I did the fortified unit. And I will tell you, it really gave me a better appreciation for sherry and more in-depth analysis. So when I started my fortified unit, I just felt like I had a better grasp of that. So I'm going to be sharing some of the stuff that I learned from my case study on my webinar, which is going to be like, what is sherry doing to promote themselves? We just had Sherry Week a few weeks ago. How are they adapting to consumer tastes? Because, people are not really interested in that pale cream sherry anymore, or cream sherry. They're making dry styles. They're making, they're capitalizing on the natural wine trend. So we're going to be talking about things that are, different, more of a business aspect. One of the biggest gripes that you and I have seen in past examiners' reports, in addition to not answering the question asked, is that students are not putting any independent thought into this. They're not making the topic come alive. And so my hope is that our webinars will give students kind of a little bit more of a dynamic understanding of these regions and wine styles, so that they can bring that topic to life when they do sit for their exams. So what about you? What's your take on your hosting exams?
Yeah, I mean, this is something we've talked about a lot. I mean, my world was webinars, and so you see a lot of what other folks are doing, and there are a lot of folks are doing great stuff. And the last thing I think that is needed is another thing that kind of regurgitates within the textbook.
Yeah.
Or what you can find in the Oxford Companion to Wine or in the Wine Bible. All those facts and figures for that memorization. And so that is a huge goal of ours, is to kind of go beyond just that, and how are you applying this, connecting the dots. That is a big theme that you'll see throughout. And for a lot of aspects of it is connecting it to the wine business. A lot of people think that, I took the wine business unit. That's it. Nice, tidy package. I'm done. I don't have to think about it. But it really it's threaded throughout everything in the diploma and in any type of wine study that you're going for. You really need to understand a lot about that wine business aspect. And so those are things that we want to talk about and how to apply. The webinar that's coming up, our first one here, this Saturday, December 4th, it's about, basically doing SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We're going to kind of focus on South Africa, because there's a lot of folks that are doing a lot of research right now in South Africa, and South Africa could always pop up on different exams. So that's going to be our kind of examples, but we're really going to focus on the core of how do you approach these questions? What is the strength and weaknesses of blank as a wine producing country? That is a favorite question.
I had one on my exam. I think you did too. So I think, they show up with regularity. So that would be a great thing for students to learn how to attack that. Yeah, for sure.
And for those that are interested, we have a Cyber Monday deal.
We do.
With that. Noelle posted out the code there. It's not super, super secret. So, but basically for our Instagram followers, if you can sign up for any of our webinars and also private coaching and get 50% off. We're slashing it there.
We are. That's a big one.
Yep. So the code is IG follow. You're an Instagram follower, so IG follow. You go to our website, elevagewinecoaching.com, check out what we've got, and whatever you want, you can get 50% off. And, or if you just even want to just kind of figure out what in the world are you two girls doing, you can also sign up for a free consult with us.
Yep.
You know, we have an open schedules with that you can go through and kind of pick a date and time that works best for you. And you can meet with us and we'll kind of get an idea of kind of what you need and what we can offer.
Exactly. And how our code is good through the rest of today and
a little bit into tomorrow, because we wanted to do the whole 24-hour time span. So
yes,
if some folks like in Australia, New Zealand happen to watch it, you know, they have some time through, you know, the end of tomorrow.
Yeah, we're in different time zones, so I know it's tricky to coordinate, but yeah, we wanted to make sure everybody got the opportunity to sign up for something if they wanted to. So yeah. So I'm excited about our webinars. I think that I think we're going to have some helpful information for students. And even if you're not at the diploma level, I think they will help you understand these regions and wine styles better. And honestly, some of these stories and fun facts kind of stick with you more than the rote memorization of what percentages go into the blend and how long they're aged. This is a little bit more exciting and dynamic. So I'm excited to do it.
And we do encourage drinking during the webinar. So, you know, we'll go with that.
It's not mandatory, but you will get extra credit if you.
Yeah. But for those that are watching this, either live or on replay, share us your thoughts. You know, are there webinars that you would like to see, or there's things with webinars that you can't stand? You know, give us your feedback. We definitely would love to hear it.
Yes, please. We're open. Okay, cool. We'll hope to see some of you sign up and see you at one of our classes.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Okay. Bye.